This is not a book about money. It is an initiation into the unseen frequency that commands it. As you harmonize with the cosmic principles of resonance, you'll realize prosperity isn't achieved through effort alone, it's channeled. Wealth is a vibration. Attune to it and witness your world shift dramatically. Wealth is a vibration. Introduction. Concealed within the pages of lost manuscripts and whispered in the lore of enlightened masters, a profound secret endures. Wealth is not substance. It is vitality, a pulse interwoven into the essence of existence. It dwells not in metals or notes, but in the ethereal stream that permeates everything, awaiting the receptive spirit to claim it. Through eras from the opulent courts of bygone civilizations to the contemplative retreats of contemporary visionaries, this insight has persisted. Those who commanded riches knew that fortune is not acquired. It is invoked. It sways to the cadence of metaphysical principles, advancing with the same inexorable precision as the planets in their orbits. You now approach the portal of this veiled lore, poised to rouse the awareness society has overlooked. Your current economic condition is merely a reverberation, a mirror of your energetic harmony. Like a resonance device, your essence summons only what resonates with its melody. Riches are not to be pursued but to be embodied. The cosmos in its supreme wisdom has infused opulence into every beam of sunlight, every gust of wind. It surrounds you, murmuring, anticipating, oscillating in flawless unity. This is neither myth nor deception. It is the timeless discipline of alignment functioning in impeccable balance via the principle of vibration. In these sections, you are not simply perusing. You are recollecting. You are being inducted into the obscured craft of synchronizing with monetary vibration. As you progress through these ageless doctrines, you will stir your authentic legacy, boundless plenty. And thus you will join the ranks of those who no longer hunt for riches but personify them. Before we commence, please tap the like button and share in the comments from which corner of the globe you're tuning in today. Part 1. Awakening to the Currency of Energy. Chapter 1. The Unseen Currency. Along a mist-veiled riverbank strolled Arya, her steps tracing faint paths in the damp earth as she picked up riverstones. Week after week, she amassed these smooth pebbles, viewing them as simple waterway relics until a seasoned fisherman drew near. His sun-etched features bore knowledge gained from endless voyages on the currents. "Those riverstones you collect so casually," he uttered, his tone laden with centuries' gravity, "were once valued beyond diamonds in the mighty realms of antiquity. Sovereigns bartered with them. Traders erected dynasties upon them, for their worth resided not in their composition, but in the hallowed consensus of all who exchanged them. The reality of money courses like a stream across the annals of history. It has never been as it seems. The digital credits and tangible tokens that circulate through your grasp are but emblems, corporeal depictions of a dynamic pact that originated with humanity's earliest barters. This vitality, this pulse of affluence, answers not to the tangible realm, but to the awareness that interacts with it. Individuals who accumulated immense treasures across time grasped this concealed axiom. They discerned that affluence is not a finite commodity to be stockpiled, but an endless pulse to be synced with. While multitudes grip material tender, convinced of its rarity, the genuinely opulent have eternally known that plenty originates in the intangible domains before crystallizing in the physical plane. In the midst of a vibrant harbor, Elena positioned herself at her harp, her strings plucked with flawless accuracy. Evening after evening, she played to sparsely filled docks, while nearby an untutored bard named Luca attracted throngs that spilled onto the piers. Elena's exasperation mounted until one dusk, observing Luca's performance, she beheld something transcending the chords, a wave of sheer delight radiating from Luca's core, connecting with every heart present. In that instant, Elena comprehended that her quest for mechanical mastery had obscured her from the authentic tender of melody, the concealed vibration of fervor that draws both listeners and fortune. Like Elena, you might be concentrating on the overt signs of riches, while oblivious to the oscillatory core that summons it. Your bond with money begins in the intangible sphere of vitality before materializing in your accounts. To initiate altering your bond with this cosmic vitality, Engage in this venerable ceremony. Daily locate a serene interval and clasp a token or note in your hand. Shut your eyes and for 5 minutes perceive the vitality aura enveloping it. Sense not the substance or fiber, but the vibrant pulse it embodies. Recognize this tender as a corporeal emblem of the boundless cosmic vitality that encircles you perpetually. Permit your awareness to blend with this pulse until you acknowledge that the genuine essence of riches has never been in the item you clasp, but in the concealed spirit it conveys. Chapter 2. The Alchemy of Financial Consciousness. Within a shadowed atelier brimming with archaic tomes and simmering flasks, Sophia toiled relentlessly at her transformative station. Hour upon hour she blended elements and chanted invocations fervently, striving to convert ordinary tin into lustrous silver. Her palms hardened, her gaze fatigued, yet the alloy stayed obstinately unaltered. After observing weeks of her pupil's vain labor, the elder transmuter at last addressed her. The metamorphosis you pursue cannot initiate in the vessel until it has transpired in the psyche. The exterior mirrors the interior. Your notions regarding affluence are the foremost transformative power in your economic existence. Like Sophia, you may be depleting yourself with outward deeds while disregarding the vital inward shift that must precede tangible alteration. Every unit that traverses your possession, every balance in your ledgers, echoes the solidified shape of your dominant ideas about money. This mechanism of realization adheres to unchangeable esoteric rules. Your convictions about opulence shape the dynamic blueprint that universal energies employ to mold your material situations. These cognitive frameworks function as unseen casts, forming your economic reality in their precise likeness. The primordial experts comprehended this tenet. Awareness precedes realization, just as the design precedes the structure. In a quaint hamlet, Lydia's humble stall neither expanded nor contracted, sustaining the identical degree of opulence irrespective of market fluctuations. Amid celebrations, her rivals' earnings surged, while hers stayed constant. In sparse periods while others faltered, her revenue endured unchanging. This cycle continued until a venerable patron observing Lydia redistribute surplus gains to buyers grinned insightfully and remarked, "You sustain your riches precisely at the level you deem appropriate. No greater, no lesser. Your opulence obeys your deepest assurance of what you merit." Just as Lydia subconsciously modulated her opulence to align with her inner convictions, you also harbor a riches regulator, a profound belief concerning your entitled measure of plenty. This hidden calibration labors incessantly to preserve your economic equilibrium, either undermining prospects that surpass your ease or bolstering pursuits that match your internal anticipations. To commence recalibrating your riches, regulator, procure a ledger devoted exclusively to monitoring your bond with opulence. For the ensuing 7 days, document every notion about money as it emerges in your awareness. Each nightfall, examine these notions by lantern glow. On distinct parchments, inscribe any restrictive convictions you've unearthed. Incinerate these parchments in a fire-resistant container, observing your constraints dissolve into embers. Then articulate these affirmations of plenty thrice, before repose. I am unified with the endless plenty of the cosmos. Opulence streams to me liberally and organically. I broaden my awareness to embrace ever-escalating riches. Chapter 3. Breaking the Chains of Lack. In a secluded settlement amid fog-enshrouded peaks, Marcus remained immobile in his unassuming abode. Though the entrance gaped wide and no visible obstacles impeded his route, he stayed tethered to his seat by fetters perceptible only to him. Day upon day, locals traversed beckoning him to the bazaar, but he could merely indicate futilely at his imperceptible bonds. One dawn, a seer with eyes resembling antique medallions materialized at his threshold. Wordlessly, he scrutinized Marcus's battles against the unseen shackles. These fetters, he eventually intoned, dwell exclusively in the sanctuary of your intellect. They are crafted from doctrines transmitted across lineages. Each segment a narrative of dearth recounted so frequently, it solidified as verity. Across ages, those aiming to dominate humanity's assets fashioned deliberate fables of insufficiency. These narratives reiterated over epochs interlaced into the core weave of human awareness. Like Marcus, you likewise bear these bequeathed fetters of restriction. Doctrines so profoundly ingrained they seem as tangible as iron. These fabricated barriers were never your authentic bequest. The cosmos resides in a condition of infinite plenty, perpetually broadening, eternally generating. Yet the legends of scarcity grew so ubiquitous, they now erect dynamic obstructions around your opulence potential. Reflect on Beatrice, successor to expansive orchards and lush meadows, who dwelled in a solitary alcove of her hereditary manor, surviving on meager herbs and broth. As a youth, she had observed the ruinous force of avarice fracture her kin. In that instance of anguish, she pledged a grave oath to renounce all fortune, deeming it the root of malevolence. Years elapsed until one eve, in a radiant vision, her forebears manifested before her. They illustrated how her self-enforced indigence hindered her from sustaining the groves that nourished multitudes of households. Her aversion to plenty wasn't shielding her from covetousness. It was retaining assets that could foster her community. Like Beatrice, you may harbor long overlooked pledges or resolutions that curtail your opulence. These restrictions might have appeared prudent or righteous when forged, but they now merely confine your ability to engender affirmative change globally. To shatter these inherited fetters, assemble 3 folios and a strand of twine. In isolation, pen your most confining doctrines about riches on each folio. Fashion these into a folio chain, connecting them as they have interconnected in your awareness. Grasp this chain before you and declare with command. These bonds were not shaped by my grasp, nor do they advance my supreme welfare. Sever each segment, proclaiming its contrary verity. Where dearth existed, I now assert plenty. Where dread prevailed, I now assert authority. Where inadequacy lingered, I now assert celestial entitlement. Convey these severed segments to barren soil and enter them, restoring these restrictions to the boundless origin whence all realization emerges. Chapter 4. The Wellspring Within. In a far-off realm, Theodore set out on a pursuit that devoured his prime. Legends of an enchanted cascade murmured in venerable parchments had ensnared his fancy. This fabled brook, it was recounted, converted common mist into platinum, granting perpetual fortune to those who sipped from its consecrated depths. For 15 years he roamed, ascending perilous cliffs, traversing immense tundras, and threading thick woodlands in chase of this fleeting bounty. Fatigued and aged, he ultimately returned to his youthful dwelling, his quest thwarted. As he cultivated his overlooked orchard, his trowel struck an anomaly beneath the ground. Fluid surged upward, pure as quartz, with an otherworldly gleam. Swiftly, tales disseminated of the brook's wondrous restorative virtues. Wanderers arrived from remote territories, proffering treasures for merely a phial of this invaluable fluid that coursed liberally under his own footing. The verity you pursue has eternally dwelled inside. Like Theodore, numerous expend decades scanning remote vistas for opulence's origin, while plenty gurgles quietly beneath their stance. The cosmos's boundless riches stream not from outward cascades, but from the fountainhead of celestial awareness within you. This internal origin knows no bounds. It cannot be exhausted or lessened. When you synchronize with this inward fountain, outward plenty inherently ensues, for it is simply the corporeal echo of your metaphysical link to universal provision. Ponder Isabella, whose trading caravans embodied her whole estate. When a ferocious gale seized her wagons, stranding her in a barren canyon, she thought everything forfeited. Yet in seclusion, she found her fingers could craft ornate vessels from canyon clays. She mastered concocting soothing salves from local flora. As seasons transpired, her innate talents flourished. When at last rescued, Isabella bore wisdom valued far exceeding her vanished wares. Her novel inventions ignited such desire that her fresh enterprise surpassed her prior fortune 5-fold. Her seeming calamity had compelled her to access the authentic origin of plenty, her own celestial essence. The elders grasped this deep verity. Outward conditions may fluctuate like dunes, but your inward assets persist eternally plentiful. The aptitudes, perceptions, and inventive faculties emanating from your celestial core symbolize the genuine fountain of riches. This origin can never be wrecked, pilfered, or depleted. For today's right, seek a tranquil area and seal your eyes. Envision yourself descending a coiled pathway profound within your essence. At the base, uncover a luminous basin of emerald radiance, your internal fountainhead of plenty. Scoop your palms and imbibe profoundly from these depths, affirming, "All opulence streams from my celestial bond." Conclude this contemplation by recognizing 3 internal endowments you hold that can yield enduring plenty. Chapter 5. The Language of Abundance. In a remote kingdom where jewels bore no merit, Clara wandered famished through avenues bordered with plentiful harvest stands. Her laden satchel of gems signified naught here, and vendors averted from her urgent signals. Twilight after twilight she slumbered in alcoves despite the burden of fortune at her side. Then Elias emerged, a venerable man who discerned the bewilderment in her gaze. Via patient tutelage he imparted the consecrated phrases of appreciation that functioned as tender in this enigmatic realm. "Utter your thankfulness with unadulterated spirit," he directed, "and observe, as the cosmos replies. Your utterances form the very texture of your existence. Each phoneme you voice bears a oscillatory frequency that undulates through the universal lattice, either magnetizing or deflecting plenty. The cosmos reacts not to the rational connotation of your discourse, but to its dynamic imprint. Those who have dominated material plenty comprehend this nuanced verity. Opulence courses most liberally to those who articulate its indigenous dialect. When you state, 'I lack the means,' the cosmos synchronizes with that constraint. When you announce, 'Fortune evades my grasp,' existence organizes to fulfill that augury. Nathan and his brother Isaac inherited matching ateliers on the same lane, vending identical crafts to the same patrons. Nathan welcomed each dawn proclaiming, 'Plenty courses to me inherently.' He spoke of his craft as flourishing and broadening. Isaac, however, perpetually fretted vocally about balancing accounts and enduring. Within a cycle, Nathan's atelier had tripled its stock and patrons, while Isaac labored and ultimately shuddered. The sole disparity resided in the unseen yet potent vigor of their utterances. To metamorphose your economic existence, you must first metamorphose your opulence lexicon. The primordial right of mindful discourse possesses the key to unleashing plenty. Secure a plain cord or bracelet and affix it on your dominant wrist for 7 days. Grow keenly conscious of every term you voice about currency, riches, and plenty. Upon detecting yourself employing dialect of dearth, promptly shift the bracelet to your opposite wrist and vocalize the opulent substitute you've readied in your plenty glossary. Via this rite, you will progressively attune your verbal frequency to the inherent dialect of plenty, permitting universal opulence to course unobstructed into your existence. Chapter 6. The Sacred Exchange. In a modest hamlet amid undulating meadows resided Helena, a weaver whose intricate tapestries lured admirers from afar. Each dawn she displayed fresh weaves in her portal, bestowing them gratis to all who ventured by. Authentic enlightenment entails offering sans anticipation. She would affirm her gaze luminous with assurance, despite her waning vitality. As moons waned, Helena's formerly vigorous form thinned her celebrated tapestries, forfeiting their unique luster, her looms growing vacant as she could no longer procure superior threads. Yet she endured in her bestowal, even as her vitality waned. One morn, a youthful wanderer materialized at her loom, scarcely tall enough to gaze over it. "Why do you defy the inherent current?" The wanderer inquired, insight as primordial as the constellations gleaming in her eyes. "Behold how the stars bestow their glow, yet draw vigor from their nuclei. Witness how the soil proffers its yields, yet welcomes the showers and nutrients it requires. Even the blossoms barter essence for dissemination. Your bond with offering and accepting reflects the universal ballet of vitality that upholds all existence. Every facet of being engages in consecrated barter. This is the obscured verity that regulates opulence. Currency acts as an icon of this perpetual current, a palpable depiction of the vitality barter that traverses all entities. When you obstruct either facet of this current, whether offering or accepting, you generate opposition in the natural circulation of plenty. Those who solely offer exhaust themselves, while those who solely accept grow stagnant. Genuine metaphysical plenty arises from sustaining harmonious equilibrium in this perpetual ballet. In a remote citadel dwelt Victor, a talented scribe whose quill could soothe the gravest woes. He declined remuneration for his labors, convinced this rendered him more metaphysically pristine. Yet as cycles passed, his scripting prowess waned. His once vibrant vigor dulled, his compositions less potent. One twilight in reflection he acquired a vista of the cosmic vitality matrix. Innumerable silver filaments linking all entities in a complex web of offer and accept. He perceived how his denial of acceptance had knotted this lattice, impeding the very essence he aimed to conduit. This opposition to acceptance, whether spawned from arrogance, apprehension, or misconstrued enlightenment, disrupts the consecrated cycle of barter. Just as a brook must both course and be restored, your opulence demands balanced engagement in existence's inherent rhythms of offering and accepting. For your vitality, barter equilibrating ceremony. Locate a serene domain and ignite a solitary ivory taper. Procure 2 folios. On one, enumerate all you bestow to the realm. On the other, what you accept. Scrutinize each barter attentively, noting where disequilibria persist. Discern realms where you overextend or resist acceptance. Culminate by inscribing one precise deed you will undertake to reinstate equilibrium in your vitality barters. Execute this ceremony beneath the crescent luna for utmost efficacy. Chapter 7. The Inheritance of Belief. Daniel lingered before the silver arches of the Orchard of Affluence, observing as others traversed effortlessly, while an intangible force restrained him. Day upon day, he revisited, thrusting against unseen impediments that barred his ingress, though the aromatic fruits and bountiful yields summoned just past his reach. On the 9th day, a primordial oracle materialized beside him. "Your strife is not solitary," she murmured gently. "Examine closely the ether encircling you." As Daniel concentrated, diaphanous strands grew visible, stretching from his form rearward through chronology and expanse. These are the ties of predecessors. Your great aunt who deemed orchards solely for the affluent. Your ancestor who was prohibited from possessing terrain. Lineages who adapted to remain in their designated station. And you too bear such imperceptible strands, doctrines about riches and merit interlaced into your essence prior to your initial inhalation. These ancestral motifs mold your economic existence more profoundly than you perceive, erecting borders in your vitality domain that appear as firm as granite barriers. These bequeathed restrictions embed in your metaphysical heritage, instituting unseen ceilings you cannot transcend. Yet comprehending their genesis holds the key to their dispersal. Each doctrine that curtails your opulence was once fashioned as safeguard, transmitted across lineages with affection, even as it confined their capability. And now yours. Sophia's narrative echoes this verity. A brilliant artisan, she recurrently constructed thriving crafts only to subconsciously dismantle them as they neared $300,000 in yearly yield, the precise threshold at which her mother's endeavor had crumbled decades prior. Despite her expertise and devotion, this unseen cap governed her triumph like an unseen puppeteer. One dusk, her grandmother manifested in a reverie displaying Sophia a vignette from 1935. The kin assembled around a hearth, forging a grave vow never to hazard ascending too lofty again after forfeiting all. This commitment, born of terror and endurance, had conveyed silently through lineages ruling their economic fate, sans their cognizance. Just as Sophia's epiphany liberated her to surpass her kin's subconscious curbs, you possess the authority to liberate bequeathed motifs that no longer advance your supreme welfare. Via mindful perception and consecrated ceremony, even the profoundest ancestral ties can be affectionately dissolved. For your lineage, emancipation rite fashion, a modest kin arbor spanning 3 lineages in hallowed domain. Link with each forebear via contemplation, inquiring what currency doctrines they bore. Inscribe each doctrine on a frond, acknowledging its protective aim while proclaiming your liberation from its confines. Ultimately transmute these curbs via flame or soil, liberating their vitality back to the cosmos with thankfulness and affection. Chapter 8. The Guardians of Prosperity. In the venerable chambers of a obscured sanctuary, a youthful scholar named Lydia devoted innumerable nights hunting for an enigmatic parchment reputed to harbor the perennial tenets of fortune generation. Though the document was whispered to abide within those very enclosures, intangible sentinels shielded it from those whose spirits sought solely tangible profit. Night upon night, Lydia delved into musty codices convinced her unyielding scrutiny would unveil the parchment's locus. Yet each aurora brought merely vexation. As her despair amplified, so did her certainty that uncovering this text would resolve all her economic tribulations. One twilight, while cataloging primordial scrolls, Lydia unearthed an elder's sketch tumbled behind a ledge. The unadorned depiction portrayed a vine yielding both blossoms and scrolls. Touched by its purity, she halted her frantic hunt to aid a novice acolyte grappling with a fundamental doctrine nearby. As Lydia imparted her insight with authentic delight, the atmosphere in the archive altered. The intangible sentinels observing across epochs discerned in this juncture what they had anticipated: a spirit that prized insight above fortune comprehension, above sheer amassment. The parchment disclosed itself not as a concealed codex, but as vibrant insight that had been extant all along, awaiting gazes deserving of beholding it. Across ages, select illuminated entities have safeguarded the deeper verities of opulence. This lore was never genuinely obscured, but protected not by bolts and ramparts, but by the mandate of metaphysical preparedness in those who pursued it. The sentinels of this insight acknowledge that economic might sans metaphysical maturity could engender ruin rather than emancipation. Marcus's Odyssey mirrors this perennial verity. At crucial junctures in his economic life, when launching his venture, confronting insolvency, and acquiring an abrupt legacy, he met the identical venerable guide. This enigmatic entity emerged not by happenstance, but when Marcus's awareness synchronized with his elevated aim. Initially centered solely on subsistence, Marcus scarcely noted this sentinel's presence. Yet as his perception broadened, he recognized that each manifestation coincided with his profoundest instances of metaphysical evolution. The guide's counsel grew more explicit as Marcus evidenced his dedication to employing opulence as a catalyst for benevolence. Analogous sentinels traverse among you presently, their insight accessible when you exhibit readiness to accept it. They manifest not in retort to necessity or aspiration, but to the stirring of superior awareness within you. To summon their counsel, establish a hallowed domain at daybreak, utilizing 4 tapers. Let each blaze symbolize the attributes the sentinels pursue: insight, uprightness, intent, and benevolence. In reflection, exhibit your dedication to incarnating these traits. Sustain receptive quiescence over the subsequent 3 days, documenting in your ledger any perceptions that surface. The sentinel's insight courses not through frantic pursuit, but through primed receptacles. Chapter 9. The Rhythm of Receiving. In the core of a verdant plain, Clara nurtured her pastures with steadfast commitment. Each pre-dawn she arose to till, sow, and tend her yields. Yet harvest upon harvest her reaps stayed scant despite her ceaseless exertion. Her adjacent plots thrived while her own appeared defiant to her most resolute endeavors. One dusk, as Clara reclined weary on her veranda, her aged neighbor neared. The elder had observed Clara's strife mutely for cycles, but now vocalized. "You labor more diligently than any cultivator I've encountered. Yet you contend against the very cadences designed to bolster you. Gaze upon the stars. They direct more than mere constellations." The elder imparted primordial cultivation lore, demonstrating Clara how each stellar phase bore distinct energies that either bolstered or impeded growth. Seeds sown amid ascending stars prospered, while those planted amid descending struggled to root. By merely synchronizing her endeavors with these inherent cycles, Clara's plot metamorphosed within a solitary season. The cosmos functions via exact cadences of broadening and narrowing. Just as the stars sway the winds and maturation cycles, these identical cosmic powers regulate the current of plenty in your existence. When you oppose these inherent cycles battling against the cosmos's founded cadences, you deplete yourself while attaining minimal outcomes. Each phase of plenty bears its own insight and intent. Intervals of apparent dearth are not chastisement, but inherent periods for scheming and readiness. Just as autumn permits the terrain to rejuvenate, epochs of bounty are not solely for consumption, but for mindful nurturing of forthcoming plenty. In a remote trading outpost, a vendor named Elias endured this verity through 5 years of remarkable opulence followed by 5 of decline. Initially, the downturn instilled him with terror until a visionary reverie disclosed the inherent order of these cycles. Like the phases themselves, economic vitality adheres to motifs of surge and recession. During his opulent years, he learned to reserve assets, and during meager, he sowed seeds for future maturation. Your opposition to these cycles derives from a misapprehension of their intent. Each phase advances your supreme welfare when you synchronize with its unique vitality rather than combating it. The constrictive phases are not defeats, but essential intervals of preparation for the next broadening. To synchronize with these cycles of broadening and narrowing, initiate a daily rite of attentive observation. Each aurora allocate a few instants to discern where you reside in your own cycles of maturation and repose. Are you in a period of outward accomplishment? Or has existence summoned you inward for introspection and renewal? Document these observations in a ledger, noting the subtle shifts in vitality and prospect that each day conveys. When you discover yourself in an expansive phase, chronicle the portals that unveil before you. During quieter epochs, inscribe about the perceptions and preparations forming beneath the facade. This rite will attune you to the inherent cadence of your life's odyssey. Over time, you'll cultivate an innate comprehension of when to advance and when to retract, moving in harmony with the universal current rather than against it. Recall that each phase, whether distinguished by visible advancement or invisible sprouting, serves a vital purpose in your path of evolution. Trust in this perennial ballet of broadening and narrowing. When you embrace these cycles as hallowed mentors rather than hindrances, you'll uncover that even the most arduous periods harbor concealed endowments of insight and metamorphosis. Chapter 10. The First Attunement. In a settlement renowned for its enigmatic harmonies, Sophia roamed through assemblies of individuals swaying and twirling to tunes she could not detect. Their countenances glowed with ecstasy as they shifted to an imperceptible beat, while she stood immobile and perplexed, straining her senses yet capturing no resonance. Night upon night she revisited, beholding others immerse in this captivating orchestra that stayed mute to her solely. One twilight, a youthful guide tugged at her garment. Sans utterance, he positioned his small palm over her core, then motioned for her to ease her taut frame, which had grown rigid from her desperate endeavors to perceive. He directed her through subtle motions, illustrating how to soften her stiff bearing and liberate the constriction in her limbs. As her form gradually relaxed, something remarkable transpired. First, a subtle vibration, then a lucid, exquisite harmony surfaced, as though it had been resonating eternally, awaiting her to match its oscillation. The pulse of riches functions similarly. It ceaselessly transmits its signal throughout the cosmos, yet stays inaudible to those whose internal condition generates static disruption. Your sporadic encounters with opulence, those junctures when plenty abruptly courses into your existence, happen when you inadvertently synchronize with this pulse. But like a dial that drifts from its channel, you forfeit the signal when your oscillatory state deviates from alignment. The esoteric mechanics of sustained plenty necessitate mindful attunement. Just as Sophia required to adjust her physical strain, to detect the harmony you must calibrate your dynamic field, to sustain consistent resonance with the opulence pulse. This synchronization transpires not through outward pursuit, but through inward harmonization. Victor unearthed this verity amid his persistent attempts to integrate the blessed fellowship whose affiliates appeared graced with inherent plenty. Despite acquiring their traditions and mimicking their deeds, he stayed unable to attain ingress. Only when he ceased his external labors and concentrated on nurturing internal luminescence did the thresholds finally part, disclosing that the fellowship harbored no arcana to impart, but merely acknowledged those who had attained the requisite state of essence. You stand now at this identical threshold. The transition from pursuing opulence to embodying its pulse marks the pivotal shift that all experts of plenty have navigated. This attunement, while initially demanding conscious effort, becomes your inherent state through devoted right. The right of synchronizing with plenty requires steadfast attention and devotion. Commence each aurora by sitting tranquilly for several minutes, inhaling profoundly and permitting yourself to settle into a state of serene receptivity. As you inhale, envision silver radiance filling your essence, activating the pulse of opulence within. This is not mere envisioning. You are attuning your awareness to the inherent state of plenty that encircles you. Throughout your day, notice instants when dearth thinking attempts to draw you from this pulse. When such notions arise gently, revert to your aurora right. Remember that plenty is not something to chase or acquire, but a state of essence to embody. Let each inhalation remind you of the boundless provision that courses through all creation. In the twilight, reflect on the manners plenty has manifested in your existence, both grand and minute. Express thankfulness for these graces, knowing that your recognition of them fortifies your link to the opulent current of the cosmos. Through devoted right, you will find yourself inherently resonating with plenty, drawing to you all that aligns with your supreme welfare. Part 2. Embodying the Prosperity Consciousness. Chapter 11. The Vibrational Signature of Wealth. In a lively bazaar where traders bartered and tokens chimed, Sophia navigated with serene assurance among the booths. Though sightless from birth, her exceptional auditory sense had rendered her the town's most celebrated musician. Her ears attuned to delicate nuances, others overlooked the slightest echo in a common melody, the exact origin of each instrument, the precise instant a note attained its zenith resonance. Her endowment transmuted into opulence as lords and vendors pursued her singular capacity to compose flawless harmonic blends. Yet one day, while presenting tunes to the fortress, an extraordinary resonance halted her. The tone was unlike any she had perceived, not instrumental, rhythmic, or tonal, but something that evoked involuntary emotion in her core. When she queried its source, a sentinel disclosed she stood near the ingress to the imperial vault. The cosmos communicates in myriad frequencies, and plenty manifests through innumerable dynamic signatures. Just as Sophia's refined senses detected what others missed, you too can cultivate the aptitude to distinguish the subtle oscillations of authentic opulence. The elders of yore comprehended that riches bear specific dynamic patterns, some that nourish and expand, others that deplete and contract. Lucas unearthed this verity through an unforeseen bequest. 2 cherished uncles bequeathed him matching emerald rings fashioned by the same craftsman with apparently identical components. Yet donning one ushered a sequence of fortunate meetings and prospects, while the other aligned with persistent adversity. Baffled, he sought the advice of a venerable artisan, who inspected both items with specialized tools. Though seeming identical, one encompassed pure gold, with vestiges of rare alloys, while the other was shaped from inferior metals with a gold veneer. Their dynamic properties, he elucidated, were as divergent as dawn and dusk. You confront analogous choices daily, prospects, ventures, and paths that may appear equally auspicious superficially. Yet beneath the overt lies a dynamic signature that either synchronizes with your supreme welfare or subtly saps your essence. By developing your metaphysical sensitivity, you can learn to detect these subtle variances before committing your vitality and assets. To commence cultivating this discernment, gather various forms of tender and items of merit. Create a tranquil domain where you won't be interrupted. Hold each object with sealed eyes, inhaling deeply as you notice the sensations that arise in your body. Some may evoke warmth, others chill. Some may create expansion in your core, others contraction. Record these subtle impressions in a dedicated ledger, building a personal reference for the frequency of true abundance. Chapter 12. The Mystic's Approach to Money. In a distant highland refuge, Victor sat in lotus pose on his faded contemplation mat, pursuing illumination through separation from mundane affairs. He had forsaken his easeful existence, convinced material chase obstructed his path to metaphysical awakening. Yet each endeavor to attain elevated awareness was disrupted by persistent notions of his diminishing reserves and uncertain horizon. After moons of strife, he sought direction from Sage Li, whose renown for insight attracted seekers from afar. To his astonishment, he found her nurturing a splendid grove replete with yields and blooms, her modest yet elegant abode embellished with creations that mirrored divine symmetry. "You aim to bisect yourself," she noted, proffering him a succulent berry from her grove. "But can you detach the zest from the yield? The nucleus verity, obscured from metaphysical seekers for eras, is this: opulence and illumination are not adversarial forces, but diverse expressions of the identical divine vitality." Throughout Chronicle, those who attained authentic metaphysical mastery comprehended that the tangible realm exists as a manifestation of metaphysical law. The primordial shrines were not erected in penury, but stood as testimonies to the harmonious current of both metaphysical and tangible plenty. In the commerce hub of a thriving riverside town, Clara's depots brimmed with exquisite fabrics and rare herbs. Her commercial acuity had generated riches that sustained scores of kin. Yet each gloaming she was tormented by the conviction that her tangible triumph somehow lessened her metaphysical value. One dusk, a distinguished mystic arrived in her town. Clara was astounded to discover him residing in a refined pavilion overlooking the stream. "These environs," the mystic clarified, "are not my holdings, but divine vitality assuming form. Through them I can provide refuge to voyagers, nourish the famished, and generate beauty that uplifts all who ingress. When we acknowledge riches as hallowed vitality, rather than personal estate, it becomes a conduit for greater benevolence. Just as droplets are not severed from the sea, your tangible existence is not severed from your metaphysical core." The conviction that you must select between opulence and metaphysical maturation has generated an artificial schism in your awareness. Sacred money integration practice. Seal your eyes and envision yourself as a conduit through which divine plenty courses. Like a translucent brook, see riches traversing through you not to be amassed, but to be directed toward greater intent. Sense yourself becoming diaphanous to this hallowed vitality, permitting it to manifest in flawless manners that serve both your supreme welfare and the welfare of all. Take 3 profound inhalations, and with each exhalation liberate any doctrines that riches and enlightenment must remain discreet. Relinquish the notion that currency is impure or that opulence diminishes your celestial link. Instead, embrace the verity that your tangible plenty is merely another expression of universal vitality, no divergent from the breeze you inhale or the radiance that warms your flesh. Now articulate these words with conviction. "I am a pristine channel for divine opulence. Through me hallowed riches course to bless all of creation. I accept plenty as a holy endowment, knowing it empowers my benevolence to the realm." Carry this integration right with you throughout your day. When you engage with currency, earning, expending, reserving, or bestowing, pause to recall its hallowed nature. Let each economic transaction become a supplication, a reflection on the infinite current of divine vitality, expressing itself through the material domain. Chapter 13. Visualizing the golden stream. In a territory where the land had fractured from cycles sans precipitation, Daniel knelt each aurora before daybreak, pressing his palms against the arid terrain. While others beheld only barrenness, he began experiencing vistas of shimmering currents flowing deep beneath the facade, primordial rivers that had never halted their motion, despite the desolate vista above. Day upon day he sustained this image in his psyche, sensing the refreshing surge of concealed brooks as vividly as if they coursed through his very arteries. After moons of this rite, he felt an inexplicable impulse drawing him to a particular locale in the gorge. Following this internal direction, he commenced excavating. His kin deemed him deranged until their tools struck dampness, then flowing fluid a font, so bountiful it transmuted the whole area into productive soil. The elders comprehended a verity that contemporary intellects have overlooked. Envisioning is not mere fancy, but a metaphysical technology for attuning your awareness to extant frequencies within the universal domain. Just as a receiver must be exactly tuned to capture a transmission that already permeates the ether, your psyche must be steadfastly aligned with the frequency of plenty that perpetually courses through all creation. In the nucleus of a thriving commerce village, Sophia maintained her modest emporium with scrupulous care. Each aurora before unlocking, she would sit in stillness, holding in her mind a lucid image of opulence, not just of material fortune, but of the vitality of plenty coursing through her existence and emporium. Though moons elapsed sans apparent alteration, she upheld this right with unswerving devotion. For a complete cycle, she sustained this envisioning through waning transactions and her rivals' triumphs. Then, one aurora, she awoke to discover that a distant relative had bequeathed her an overlooked legacy, now worth manifold her emporium's value. Within weeks, her vision realized precisely as she had held it in her psyche, though through avenues she could never have consciously orchestrated. Just as subterranean brooks course unseen before breaching the facade, your envisioning right operates on subtle planes of existence before manifesting in physical form. The consistency of your mental imagery aligns your vitality field with the frequency of plenty, creating a conduit through which universal opulence can course into your experience. Like fluid carving pathways through rock, your sustained focus shapes invisible channels in the ethereal realm. Each time you hold that image of opulence in your mind, you deepen these grooves, strengthening the connection between your awareness and the infinite reservoir of plenty that awaits expression in your physical reality. This is why patience and unwavering faith are essential. For though you cannot yet see the stream, your persistent practice ensures its eventual emergence into the visible world. Before we proceed to the next chapter, you can download a free ebook version of this audiobook using the link in the pinned comment below this video. Chapter 14. The Breath of Prosperity. On the gale-swept coasts of a venerable harbor, Sophia stood gazing at the horizon where ominous vapors amassed like omens of ruin. Her entire estate voyaged upon 4 trade vessels now ensnared in the maelstrom's wrath. As she paced the shore, her respiration arriving in jagged bursts, an aged mariner approached, his etched countenance bearing the serenity of one who had beheld innumerable tempests. "Your respiration mirrors the turmoil of the waves." The mariner noted, his voice conveying primordial insight. "Permit me to impart a secret transmitted through lineages of navigators." He directed Sophia to perch upon the grains and demonstrated a rhythmic respiration pattern that seemed to echo the ocean's natural throb. As Sophia matched this venerable cadence, something extraordinary occurred. Not only did tranquility settle over her troubled psyche, but the distant waters began to pacify, as if responding to her newfound equanimity. When daybreak arrived, her vessels sailed securely into port, their valuable freight intact. Through the ages, masters of plenty have comprehended a verity that modern society has forgotten. Your respiration holds the key to your financial frequency. Each intake and release creates a subtle oscillation that either aligns with or repels opulence. Your unconscious respiration patterns during economic exchanges, resolutions, and even simple notions about currency generate a dynamic field that directly influences your material reality. In a distant metropolis, Victor and his sister received identical venture prospects. Despite adhering to the same tactic, his sister's endeavors flourished, while his languished. Seeking comprehension, he observed her during commerce gatherings and made a remarkable discovery. While discussing currency matters, she naturally maintained a steady, expansive respiration pattern. In contrast, he noticed his own breath becoming shallow and constricted whenever finances were discussed. This awareness became his pivotal moment. By consciously transforming his respiration pattern when engaging with money matters, Victor's financial reality began to shift, eventually matching his sister's success. Your breath serves as the bridge between intention and manifestation, between thought and form. This sacred tool, known to the affluent sages of antiquity, remains available to you in every moment. To harness this ancient wisdom, practice the prosperity breath sequence. Sit with your spine erect and first observe your natural breathing pattern while contemplating money. Then initiate the sacred rhythm. Inhale for 8 counts. Hold for 4. Exhale for 8. Hold for 4. As you breathe, visualize golden light entering your body with each inhalation, circulating through your entire being with each exhalation. Maintain this practice for 7 minutes before engaging in any financial activities. Chapter 15. The Sacred Geometry of Wealth. In the core of a primordial metropolis, Sophia stood bewildered before 2 shrines. The elder edifice, though modest in its architecture, overflowed with tributes of silver and precious stones, while the lavish new shrine she had assisted in building remained strangely vacant. Night upon night she gauged and analyzed both structures, searching for the secret that evaded her. Her mentor, watching silently for many days, finally approached. "What you seek cannot be measured with ordinary instruments," he said, retrieving a silver cord knotted at precise intervals. These hallowed proportions were known to the ancients, who understood that certain mathematical relationships naturally attract the energy of abundance. As your journey into the mystical science of prosperity deepens, you now encounter one of its most powerful secrets: the sacred patterns and numerical sequences that govern the flow of abundance in the universe. Just as music creates harmony through specific mathematical relationships between notes, wealth energy responds to precise geometric arrangements and numerical frequencies. Throughout the ages, those who mastered material abundance understood that certain numbers and shapes naturally align with prosperity, while others subtly repel it. These patterns appear throughout nature: in the coil of a fern, the disposition of seed pods, and the trajectories of stellar bodies. By incorporating these sacred proportions into your environment and activities, you activate powerful frequencies that attract wealth energy. In a thriving commerce settlement, Victor struggled to sustain his modest booth, despite offering superior goods. One twilight, an enigmatic voyager entered, studying the booth's arrangement with discerning eyes. He showed him how to reorganize his exhibits according to a primordial pattern, explaining that opulence flows along specific geometric lines. Skeptical but desperate, Victor followed his instructions precisely. The next, Aurora patrons began flooding in as if drawn by an invisible force. His transactions doubled, then tripled, maintaining this remarkable increase as long as he preserved the sacred arrangement. This wisdom extends beyond physical spaces. The universe operates according to precise numerical cycles that influence the flow of abundance. By understanding and aligning with these cycles, you open yourself to the natural rhythms of prosperity that have always existed around you. The practice guides you to create a prosperity grid. By drawing a sacred geometry pattern, detailed instructions provided on parchment, using silver ink during the waxing moon phase, then placing symbols of your financial goals at specific power points on the grid, activating the completed grid by placing it where morning sunlight touches it, while reciting a provided abundance invocation for 8 consecutive days. The Number of Infinite Prosperity. Chapter 16. The Prosperity Portals. In a bygone era, Sophia journeyed through arduous terrains, seeking the legendary Citadel of Silver. Legends spoke of its splendid spires and avenues lined with gleaming alloys. Yet each time she followed the guidance given by fellow wanderers, she found only vacant wilderness. For 9 years, she searched, growing weary and disheartened, until one twilight she encountered an elder sketching designs in the dust. The citadel materializes only when celestial bodies align in perfect symmetry, the elder said, outlining astral emblems. And even then, its gateway opens solely for those who know where to gaze. During these precious moments, you now approach one of the most closely guarded secrets of abundance manifestation: the sacred understanding of timing, location, and action. Throughout the ages, masters of prosperity recognized that wealth energy flows more freely during specific windows of opportunity, through particular places that serve as natural amplifiers, and in response to precisely aligned actions. Imagine time, space, and action as 3 keys that must turn together to unlock the portal of prosperity. When these elements align perfectly, manifestation occurs with an ease and grace that seems magical to those unaware of these principles. Yet this knowledge has been preserved and passed down through generations of those who understood the deeper mechanics of abundance. Consider the tale of Lucas, who faithfully performed his prosperity ritual each day for 4 years, igniting special herbs and chanting ancient summons. Though he maintained unwavering dedication, his results remained minimal. One night, in a vivid dream, a wise elder appeared and spoke. Your words are correct, but your timing and orientation are misaligned. When next the stars align, face the setting sun in the west and speak your truth. Though skeptical, Lucas followed these instructions precisely. Within days, opportunities he had long sought suddenly manifested as if a hidden door had finally swung open in response to the perfect alignment of elements. Just as certain times of day hold different energetic qualities and specific locations resonate with particular frequencies, your prosperity practices can be amplified or diminished by these subtle yet crucial factors. The ancient temples were not built in random locations or oriented without purpose. Their positioning and timing of ceremonies worked in harmony with universal forces to enhance manifestation. Even now, these same eternal principles remain active, waiting to be recognized and harnessed by those who seek to work in concert with the universe's natural rhythms. When you align your practices with these cosmic forces, the rising sun, the phases of the moon, the cardinal directions, you tap into currents of energy that have flowed since time immemorial. Chapter 17. Rituals of the Affluent Soul. In an epic beyond recollection, Victor uncovered an archaic scroll concealed within the foundations of his ancestors' dwelling. Its faded passages contained elaborate opulent ceremonies transmitted through innumerable lineages. With fervor, he adhered to each directive, precisely igniting the designated essences, arranging gems in impeccable geometric formations, and intoning the hallowed phrases at the ordained hours. Yet after moons of devoted observance, his circumstances endured unaltered. One twilight, as he executed his customary ceremony, a golden-haired elder appeared at his portal. Sans presentation, the stranger scrutinized Victor's motions and vocalized, "You perform the gestures flawlessly, but where is the harmony in your spirit?" Through this simple observation, you now approach a profound truth about prosperity consciousness. The external forms of ritual serve as vessels, but it is your internal state of sacred presence that fills them with power. Throughout the ages, those who mastered abundance understood that ceremony creates a bridge between the seen and unseen worlds, allowing transformation to occur at the deepest levels of consciousness. Consider how your logical mind often resists new patterns of prosperity, clinging to familiar limitations even as you strive for change. Sacred ritual bypasses this resistance, speaking directly to your soul in the language of symbol and ceremony that it naturally understands when performed with true presence and clear intention. These practices align your entire being with the frequency of wealth. This truth reveals itself in the tale of Isabella, a trader whose commerce domain extended across 4 realms. When a plague ravaged her storehouses and routes in a single season, she frantically labored to reconstruct through sheer determination. Yet her desperate efforts yielded nothing but exhaustion and further setbacks. In her darkest hour, Isabella recalled a simple prosperity ritual taught by her grandmother. Though it seemed insignificant compared to her previous wealth-building activities, she committed to performing it daily. As she ignited the dawn taper and spoke the ancient words of abundance, something shifted within her. Her inner harmony restored. Opportunities naturally flowed toward her, bringing even greater success than before, not through anxious striving, but through renewed energetic alignment. This wisdom awaits your discovery through the Alchemist Prosperity Ritual. Each Wednesday, create a sacred altar incorporating earth gems or earth water in a golden bowl, fire emerald, or silver taper and air essence. Add symbols representing your desired manifestations. Ignite your taper while speaking this invocation. By the ancient laws of prosperity, I align my being with the eternal flow of abundance. As these elements combine, so too does my consciousness merge with the frequency of wealth. Perform the visualization sequence. See silver light filling your body, extending outward to touch everything you wish to manifest. Complete your ceremony by recording your experience and intentions in a dedicated journal, creating a living record of your transformation. Chapter 18. The Emotional Alchemy of Wealth. In a time beyond memory, there lived an alchemist named Lucas, who devoted his life to mastering the sacred art of transformation. Night after night, he toiled in his laboratory, meticulously following ancient formulas to transmute copper into gold. Despite his precise measurements and flawless technique, the metal remained stubbornly unchanged. One evening, as frustration threatened to overwhelm him, his master appeared silently in the doorway. "You have mastered the external elements," he observed, but neglected the most essential ingredient, the alchemy of your own heart. Through this timeless tale, you approach a fundamental truth about the science of prosperity. Your emotional state serves as the catalyst that transforms mere intention into manifest reality. Just as the ancient alchemists discovered that their own consciousness affected their experiments, you too must understand that your feelings create the energetic foundation for all material transformation. Consider how a skilled painter named Sophia created works of extraordinary technical perfection, yet found no patrons for her art. Her artistry was beyond reproach, but something essential was missing. An elder in her village, watching her work one day, shared a forgotten wisdom. Infuse each creation with the feeling of gratitude, as though the canvas itself is a gift from the divine. At first skeptical, Sophia began practicing this emotional alchemy. As she painted, she cultivated a deep sense of appreciation for her materials, her skills, and the opportunity to create. Almost immediately, her finished pieces took on a different quality, one that patrons could sense even without understanding why. What had been merely well-crafted paintings became treasured masterpieces that people eagerly sought out. This ancient wisdom reveals that your emotions act as the bridge between thought and manifestation. Certain emotional frequencies naturally align with prosperity: gratitude, worthiness, generosity, joy, abundance, and trust. Others fear scarcity, unworthiness, resentment, create resistance that blocks the natural flow of wealth. To apply this wisdom in your own life, practice the emotional prosperity transmutation daily. Find a quiet moment and identify the primary emotion you carry about money. If it's a limiting emotion, express it fully in private. Move your body, make sound, release its energy completely. Then place your hand upon your heart and begin the prosperity breath pattern. Inhale for 4 counts, imagining golden light filling your heart center. Hold for 4 counts, allowing this light to intensify. Exhale for 4 counts, feeling it expand throughout your body. Hold empty for 4 counts, creating space for a new emotional signature. Choose one of the prosperity emotions: gratitude, worthiness, generosity, joy, abundance, or trust. As you continue the breathing pattern, cultivate this new feeling state, sustaining it for 3 full minutes while visualizing it, infusing your entire financial energy field. Feel this elevated emotion becoming your new normal state when engaging with money and material resources. Chapter 19. The Dreaming Gates of Prosperity. In an ancient village, there lived a man named Victor, whose financial struggles consumed his days and haunted his nights. Despite consulting every sage, reading countless tomes of wisdom, and implementing numerous strategies, abundance remained elusive. His logical mind had exhausted every possibility, yet the solution he sought remained hidden behind a veil of uncertainty. One night, as he finally surrendered to exhaustion, the wisdom of the universe reached through his dreams. In this ethereal state where the conscious mind's barriers dissolve, he received crystal-clear guidance. A voice as ancient as time itself revealed a path he had never considered, one that defied conventional reasoning, but resonated with a truth his soul recognized instantly. Through this timeless tale, you approach a profound understanding of the dream realm's role in manifesting abundance. When your analytical mind rests, you enter a sacred space where the universal field of prosperity can communicate directly with your soul. The wealth masters of antiquity understood this truth, recognizing that dreams serve as portals through which divine financial wisdom flows unimpeded. Consider Isabella, who repeatedly dreamed of a specific symbol, dismissing these nighttime visions as mere fantasy. Yet the universe persisted, showing her this emblem again and again until circumstances aligned to bring her to a place where it appeared physically. In that precise context, she discovered an opportunity for prosperity that her logical mind could never have conceived, one that provided lasting abundance and security. These stories illuminate the sophisticated guidance system operating through your dream consciousness. While you sleep, the barriers of doubt and limitation dissolve, allowing direct communion with the infinite intelligence that governs all prosperity. Throughout history, those who mastered material abundance understood that dreams offer a direct line to financial wisdom that transcends ordinary understanding. The ancient practice of dream incubation, intentionally seeking prosperity guidance through sleep, remains one of the most powerful tools for manifesting abundance. Your dreams may already hold the solutions you seek, offering guidance that bypasses the limitations of logical thought to reveal unexpected pathways to wealth. When you learn to harness this sacred wisdom of the night, you tap into a wellspring of infinite potential that has guided seekers throughout the ages. The answers you desire often appear not as direct instructions, but as symbols and metaphors that speak to your deeper consciousness. By setting a clear intention before sleep and remaining receptive to the messages that come, you open yourself to revelations that can transform your material circumstances in ways your waking mind could never imagine. Chapter 20. The Divine Right to Abundance. In a land where time held no meaning, there lived a woman named Sophia, who discovered a magnificent palace unlike any she had seen before. Its diamond gates stood wide open, inviting all who passed by to enter. Yet Sophia remained outside, pacing anxiously in the palace's shadow day after day. Though no sentinels blocked her path and no barriers impeded her entry, she convinced herself that special permission must surely be required to cross such a grand threshold. Other travelers passed her by, walking confidently through the gates to receive the abundance that awaited within. Still, Sophia stayed rooted in place, bound by invisible chains of her own making, until one morning a royal herald approached her with an expression of gentle amusement. "The sovereign has been observing you," the herald said, "wondering why you have not claimed what is rightfully yours. He sent me to tell you that not only are you permitted to enter, you were specifically invited. He has been waiting to bestow gifts that belong to you by divine birthright. You too may find yourself standing outside the gates of prosperity, believing you need special permission to receive abundance. Yet the truth whispers to your soul. The gates have always been open, waiting for you to recognize your divine inheritance. The universal laws that govern abundance operate with perfect equality, playing no favorites and requiring no special status. Just as the sun shines on all beings without discrimination, prosperity flows naturally to those who align with its frequency. Your birthright as a divine being having a human experience includes unlimited access to the universe's abundance. For centuries, certain beliefs have been carefully cultivated in human consciousness, beliefs suggesting that prosperity belongs only to a select few, that limitation is natural, while abundance is rare. Yet these are merely illusions, like shadows cast on a wall. The deeper truth reveals that abundance is the natural state of an unlimited universe, while limitation exists only in the mind that believes in it. The story continues with Marcus, whose compassionate spirit led him to serve others tirelessly, while accepting little in return. His refusal to receive appropriate compensation stemmed from a deep-seated belief in his own unworthiness. Yet through a series of seemingly coincidental encounters, he gradually awakened to a profound realization. His reluctance to receive abundance actually diminished his capacity to give. Each time he denied himself proper compensation, he unknowingly reinforced a universal pattern of limitation that affected not only himself, but those around him. Part 3. Transcending into Wealth Consciousness. Chapter 21. The Abundance Acceleration. In the heart of a fertile valley there lived a farmer named Sophia, who tended her fields with diligence and care. Year after year she planted the same crops in the same manner, reaping modest harvests that sustained her family, but never seemed to grow beyond a certain measure. Her methods were sound, her work ethic unquestionable, yet abundance remained just out of reach. One autumn morning, as Sophia surveyed her fields with familiar resignation, an elder appeared beside her. Without introduction, the sage pointed to the farmer's perfectly ordered rows and spoke of a different way of planting, one that followed the sacred spiral patterns found in nature itself. "Take the harvest from this field," the elder instructed, "and use it to plant an expanding spiral in the next. Each season's abundance becomes the seed for greater abundance, growing not in lines but in circles that ever widen." Though skeptical, Sophia followed this guidance. As seasons passed, her small farm transformed into the region's most bountiful estate, its spiral-planted fields yielding harvests that exceeded all expectations. You see, this ancient wisdom reveals a profound truth about the nature of prosperity. When you first align with the frequency of wealth, you plant seeds in fertile soil. But true mastery lies not in maintaining this initial connection, but in amplifying it through sacred principles of acceleration. Most individuals experience financial growth in careful, measured steps, like Sophia's original method of planting identical fields. They maintain the same energetic relationship with abundance year after year, receiving steady but limited returns. Yet the universe operates not in lines but in spirals, offering pathways to exponential rather than linear expansion. Consider Victor, a talented musician whose performances grew steadily for many years. His income increased predictably until he discovered the transformative practice of blessing his blessings. Each time abundance flowed into his life, whether a new audience, an unexpected gift, or even a found token, he paused to acknowledge it with deliberate gratitude. More importantly, he immediately circulated a portion of each blessing forward, giving with genuine joy rather than obligation. This simple yet powerful practice initiated a mysterious transformation in Victor's prosperity. Opportunities began arriving with unprecedented frequency. Unexpected windfalls appeared as if by magic. His performances expanded not through additional effort or promotion, but through an invisible force that seemed to multiply every blessing he acknowledged and shared. Your own journey of abundance can follow this same spiral pattern of expansion. Through conscious application of these acceleration principles, you can transform your financial energy from a steady stream into a powerful torrent. This transformation occurs not through striving or struggle, but through enhanced energetic alignment that naturally magnifies your capacity to manifest prosperity. Chapter 22. The Golden Thread of Divine Timing. In the weaving district of an ancient city, where artisans created textiles sought by merchants from distant lands, lived a weaver named Victor. His fabrics possessed a quality that set them apart, a harmonious interplay of colors and patterns that seemed to dance with life itself. While other weavers produced competent work through practiced skill, Victor's creations held a mystical quality that commanded prices 10 times higher than his competitors. One morning, an apprentice named Elena sought him out, having traveled many days to learn the secret of Victor's mastery. She watched as Victor sat before his loom, hands hovering motionless above the threads. Minutes passed, then hours. Just when Elena began to grow restless, Victor's hands moved with sudden certainty, introducing a thread of deep azure into the weave. "But how did you know?" Elena asked. "How did you choose that exact moment?" Victor smiled, his fingers continuing their dance with the threads. "There is a golden thread," he explained, "invisible to ordinary sight that weaves through time itself. It shows me the perfect moment for each action. See how this azure now catches the evening light. Had I introduced it moments earlier or later, it would have lacked this luminosity." The secret lies not in the weaving, but in learning to perceive this thread of divine timing. Through your life's tapestry runs this same golden thread of perfect timing. The universe operates according to precise rhythms that, when understood, transform struggle into graceful unfolding. Just as Victor's masterpieces emerge through his attunement to divine timing, rather than forceful technique, your prosperity manifests most powerfully when aligned with these natural cycles. The ancients understood that wealth consciousness requires not just right action, but right timing. They recognize that the universe orchestrates complex patterns of events that appear as meaningful coincidence to those who have eyes to see. This wisdom has been preserved through generations of prosperity masters who learned to sense the subtle pulses of opportune moments. When you force financial actions against the natural flow, you create resistance that manifests as setbacks and delays. Yet when you develop sensitivity to divine timing, opportunities unfold with remarkable ease. The universe already holds the perfect pattern for your prosperity. Your task is to attune yourself to its rhythm rather than impose your own. Chapter 23. The Sanctuary of Abundance. In a distant land where wisdom was valued above gold, there lived a young seeker named Sophia. Her heart burned with the desire to understand life's deeper mysteries, leading her to embark on a pilgrimage to 2 legendary temples, said to hold transformative spiritual teachings. The first temple she encountered rose majestically against the morning sky, its walls adorned with precious gems and intricate carvings. Golden statues lined the entrance and elaborate tapestries hung from ceiling to floor. Yet as Sophia crossed the threshold, her heart sank. Despite its outward grandeur, the space felt hollow, devoid of the sacred presence she sought. Disappointed but undeterred, Sophia journeyed to the second temple. This humble structure, built of simple stone and weathered wood, appeared unremarkable from the outside. But upon entering, Sophia gasped. Though lacking material riches, the space hummed with tangible divine energy. Every corner radiated a peaceful power that seemed to penetrate her very being. The invisible yet unmistakable difference between these temples carries a truth that masters of abundance have long understood. Your physical surroundings both reflect and influence the unseen energetic forces that shape your experience of life. Just as Sophia discovered that external opulence cannot manufacture true spiritual power, you will learn that your environment plays a crucial role in either amplifying or diminishing your connection to the frequency of wealth. Throughout history, those who mastered the art of prosperity carefully crafted their surroundings to maintain precise energetic alignment with abundance. They understood that every object, color, and arrangement in your space constantly interacts with your energy field, either supporting or undermining your prosperity consciousness. These ancient wisdom keepers recognized that sacred spaces are not created through mere decoration, but through conscious attention to the invisible forces that govern manifestation. They developed sophisticated systems for arranging their environments to naturally attract and amplify the frequency of wealth. You will discover how specific elements, when properly placed, create powerful energetic foundations for prosperity. You will learn why certain colors resonate with abundance while others subtly reinforce limitation. Most importantly, you will master the art of transforming your own spaces into sanctuaries that continuously strengthen your alignment with universal wealth. Chapter 24. The Invisible Counsel of Prosperity. In an ancient meditation hall among mist-shrouded mountains, Victor sat cross-legged before a weathered manuscript. For months he had struggled to decipher its cryptic symbols and teachings about prosperity, yet understanding remained elusive. Night after night he pored over the text until his eyes grew weary, sensing there were deeper truths just beyond his grasp. One evening, as golden sunlight faded to dusk, Victor closed his eyes in meditation, surrendering his fervent quest for answers. In that moment of release, his awareness expanded beyond the physical realm. He found himself in a vast chamber of light where luminous beings gathered in a circle. Their presence radiated wisdom accumulated across the ages. "We have watched your dedication," spoke one being whose light shimmered with ethereal gold. "Yet you seek knowledge while holding only half the truth." "What am I missing?" Victor asked. "The purpose behind the seeking," another responded. "Prosperity's true power flows not to those who desire it for themselves alone, but to those who would use it as a force for humanity's evolution." When Victor opened his heart to this deeper understanding, the being stepped forward, offering to guide his journey not to wealth alone, but to wealth in service of the highest good. This ancient tale illuminates a truth that prosperity masters have understood throughout history. Invisible guides and guardians of abundance consciousness stand ready to assist those who approach wealth as a means of expanding consciousness, rather than merely accumulating possessions. These beings represent the accumulated wisdom of all who have walked the path of purposeful prosperity before you. Their guidance manifests in subtle ways through intuitive nudges, synchronistic encounters, and moments of unexpected clarity. Yet they wait for a crucial shift in consciousness before offering their full support. This shift occurs when you recognize that true wealth serves a purpose far greater than personal comfort or status. The practices of prosperity take on new power when aligned with higher purpose. What once seemed like mere techniques become sacred technologies for channeling abundance toward the evolution of consciousness. The invisible counsel responds not to desperate pleading or clever manipulation, but to sincere commitment to serve the greater good through your prosperity. As you embrace this elevated perspective, you'll discover that the ancient methods handed down through generations transform from simple formulas into divine instruments of creation. The universe itself conspires to support those who recognize wealth as a vehicle for expanding awareness and uplifting others. When your heart truly aligns with this noble intention, the invisible realms open pathways that were previously hidden from view, guiding you toward opportunities that serve both your growth and the collective good. Chapter 25. Beyond the illusion of time. In the bustling markets of an ancient city, Sophia paced anxiously between merchant stalls, her mind consumed with worries about future wealth. Each coin she earned immediately transformed into anxiety about earning the next, leaving her perpetually stressed despite her growing fortune. Her reputation for shrewd trading had earned her success, yet peace eluded her completely. One evening, as she counted her daily earnings, a peculiar figure appeared in her doorway, an alchemist whose eyes held the depth of centuries. Without speaking, the alchemist placed 3 crystal vessels on Sophia's counting table. The first contained dark soil, the second clear water, and the third mysteriously seemed to hold pure light. The past, the alchemist said, pointing to the soil, the present indicating the water, the future gesturing to the light. Then, in one fluid motion, he poured all 3 vessels together into a single bowl. Instead of mixing into mud as Sophia expected, the substances transformed into a swirling golden liquid that seemed to exist in all dimensions at once. Your prosperity exists not in any single moment, the alchemist explained, but in the eternal now where all moments merge. Here in this sacred point of presence, true manifestation occurs. This timeless tale illuminates a profound truth about the nature of financial manifestation. It occurs not in the linear progression of time as your mind conceives it, but in the eternal present moment where all possibilities exist simultaneously. When you fixate on future outcomes or past failures, you actually separate yourself from your manifestation power, which resides only in the now. The greatest masters of prosperity throughout history understood this mystery. They knew that projecting abundance into some future state creates a perpetual gap between you and its realization. True financial mastery requires learning to access the dimension of presence where manifestation power reaches its peak. Your mind may resist this teaching, insisting that proper planning requires future focus. Yet there exists a subtle but crucial difference between practical preparation and the habit of postponing your prosperity consciousness to some future achievement. The former can occur while maintaining presence, while the latter creates an energetic pattern of perpetual waiting that blocks manifestation. Chapter 26. The Prosperous Self. Sophia stood before the grand gates of the Prosperity Academy, her credentials and accomplishments clutched tightly in her hands. For years, she had dreamed of studying within these hallowed walls where masters of abundance shared their wisdom. Yet despite her impressive qualifications, the gates remained firmly closed. Day after day, she returned presenting different achievements, displaying her knowledge of wealth principles, demonstrating her dedication through elaborate rituals. Still, she remained outside looking in. One morning, as Sophia prepared another attempt to gain entry, an elderly teacher approached. The teacher's simple robes contrasted sharply with the academy's ornate facade, yet something in his presence commanded attention. "You seek to enter by showing what you can do," the teacher observed quietly. "But these gates open only for who you become." The teacher guided Sophia to a nearby reflecting pool. "Look deeply," he instructed. "Do you see yourself as one who must prove worthiness to enter, or as one who naturally belongs within?" In that moment, Sophia understood her endless striving, revealed a core identity of someone seeking prosperity rather than someone who embodied it. The gates had never been locked. Her own self-image had kept her outside. Under the teacher's guidance, Sophia began the inner work of transformation. Rather than focusing on doing more, she learned to shift her fundamental sense of self. Gradually, her identity evolved from seeker to embodiment of prosperity consciousness. One morning, Sophia approached the academy again. This time she carried no credentials. She had become someone different not through outer achievement, but through inner transformation. As she walked toward the entrance, the gate swung open silently. She entered not as one seeking admission, but as one returning home. This ancient tale, passed down through generations of seekers and sages, illuminates a profound truth about the nature of prosperity, one that has guided countless souls toward abundance since time immemorial. Like a beacon of wisdom piercing through the mists of time, it reveals the eternal principles that govern the flow of universal abundance. Chapter 27. The Radiance of Generosity. In the heart of an ancient forest where wisdom whispers through ageless trees, there lived Victor, guardian of a mystical spring. Those who journeyed to these waters discovered a peculiar truth. When Victor shared the spring's crystal-clear bounty freely with travelers, its waters flowed with ever-increasing abundance. Yet when visitors attempted to claim or hoard the waters for themselves, the spring would mysteriously diminish, sometimes disappearing entirely. Through the core teachings of this ancient wisdom, you now discover the profound truth that has guided prosperity masters through the ages. True wealth naturally overflows to others through your very presence. This principle operates not through conscious effort or moral imperative, but as the natural expression of one who understands that abundance is unlimited in its essence. When you align with this frequency of prosperity, consciousness generosity flows not from obligation, but from an inner wellspring of unlimited supply. Like Victor's magical waters, your abundance multiplies precisely when shared freely, creating an expansive energy field that elevates all who enter your sphere, while simultaneously accelerating your own manifestations. Consider now the tale of Isabella, whose vast fortune brought her no joy despite her dutiful charitable giving. Each donation felt like a sacrifice, a diminishment of her wealth until a chance encounter transformed her understanding. Walking through the poorest quarter of the city, she met a young child who offered to share his only apple with a stray bird, his face radiating pure joy in the giving. This simple act awakened Isabella to the truth. True generosity springs not from duty, but from the natural overflow of an abundant heart. As she embraced this wisdom, her giving transformed from obligation to celebration. Mysteriously, the more freely she gave from this new consciousness, the more prosperity flowed into her life through unexpected channels. Your own relationship with giving may arise from similar concepts of sacrifice or duty, rather than the natural overflow of abundance. Yet as you embrace the frequency of true prosperity consciousness, you discover that generosity becomes not an act of will, but a natural expression of your alignment with unlimited supply. Now, through the sacred practice of establishing your generosity practice, you begin your own journey into this profound truth. Create a dedicated prosperity overflow fund, starting with an amount that stretches you slightly beyond comfort while remaining sustainable. Each morning, enter into meditation with the pure intention of being guided to opportunities for anonymous or unexpected giving. Follow the intuitive promptings that arise even when they seem unconventional. Record each experience in your prosperity journal, paying special attention to how these acts of generosity affect your consciousness, and noting the mysterious ways abundance flows back to you through unexpected pathways. Chapter 28. The Infinite Expressions of Wealth. In the heart of a bustling marketplace, Sophia moved swiftly between stalls, her eyes scanning constantly for glints of silver. Each token she acquired brought momentary satisfaction, yet left her hungering for more. Day after day, year after year, her singular pursuit of currency consumed her until a chance encounter changed everything. A sage, noting Sophia's frantic energy, invited her to visit a hidden garden. As they passed through ancient gates, Sophia gasped at the sight before her. Trees unlike any she had ever seen filled the space. Their fruits were pure silver, yet their blossoms radiated pure joy. Their leaves emanated vibrant health, and their roots pulsed with divine purpose. The frequency of wealth flows through countless channels beyond mere money. This truth, known to prosperity masters throughout the ages, reveals that abundance manifests in infinite forms, in opportunities that arise at perfect moments, in connections that open unexpected doors, in the harmony of well-being, and in the joy that saturates a life lived in alignment with purpose. When you limit your prosperity awareness to financial measurements alone, you create energetic constriction that paradoxically limits even your monetary manifestations. The ancient ones understood that true wealth encompasses the totality of life experience, not just what can be counted, but what can be felt, shared, and celebrated. Consider now the tale of Lucas, whose relentless focus on financial goals finally bore fruit. Yet standing in his perfectly appointed home, surrounded by all he had manifested, an inexplicable emptiness echoed through his achievement. That night, a dream vision transported him through scenes of his life. Moments of laughter with loved ones, sunsets that painted the sky with glory, the satisfaction of work that touched others' lives, the miracle of health flowing through his body. Upon waking, Lucas realized he had been walking past treasures daily without recognizing them. As he began acknowledging the abundance already present in every dimension of his life, a profound shift occurred. His gratitude for these multiple expressions of wealth activated a frequency that magnetized even greater prosperity across all aspects of his existence. Just as Lucas discovered your own prosperity, consciousness expands dramatically when you recognize the many forms of abundance already flowing through your life. This recognition creates an energetic field that paradoxically enhances your financial manifestations while enriching your entire life experience. Through the sacred practice of creating your wealth dimension inventory, you begin a transformative journey that awakens your consciousness to the countless blessings already flowing through your existence. This ancient exercise, passed down through generations of wisdom seekers, opens your eyes to the multitude of riches surrounding you, not merely in material form, but across every dimension of life. As you document these treasures, both seen and unseen, you activate powerful frequencies of abundance that have laid dormant within your being. Chapter 29. The Sacred Stewardship. In the grand halls of an ancient estate, Victor paced restlessly, the weight of his newly inherited fortune pressing heavily upon his shoulders. Though surrounded by opulence, he felt not joy but an inexplicable burden, as though the very wealth that should have freed him had become silver chains. One evening, as he sat in his study, examining ledgers, a presence filled the room. An elder whose eyes held the wisdom of ages appeared before him. "You seem troubled by your abundance." The elder observed his voice carrying the resonance of truth. "Perhaps because you misunderstand its nature. Through the veils of material existence, this truth now emerges. Wealth in its purest form exists not as personal possession, but as cosmic energy entrusted to your stewardship. When you release the illusion of ownership, you step into alignment with the true purpose of prosperity, the elevation of all beings toward higher consciousness. Throughout the ages, those who have mastered the frequency of abundance understood this fundamental principle. The universe naturally channels greater resources to those who recognize themselves not as owners, but as conscious stewards of divine energy. This understanding transforms your relationship with wealth from one of anxious grasping to purposeful direction. In the quiet valleys of a distant land, Sophia struggled to build her fortune. Despite following every principle of manifestation, her endeavors repeatedly fell short. One dawn, in deep meditation, she received a vision that illuminated the cause. Her focus on accumulation had created resistance to the natural flow of prosperity. The truth revealed itself. Wealth flows most freely when consciously directed toward purposes that serve the awakening of all. Through this lens, you begin to see that your financial resources are not truly yours, but rather cosmic energy flowing through you toward its highest expression. This perspective does not diminish your abundance. Rather, it magnifies it by aligning you with the universe's natural tendency to entrust greater resources to those who demonstrate conscious stewardship. In this moment of profound understanding, you are ready to embrace a sacred practice that will deepen your connection to universal abundance. Through conscious application of these eternal principles, you will learn to become a pure channel for prosperity, allowing divine energy to flow through you with ever-increasing power and purpose. The following exercise will help you align your being with the cosmic laws of giving and receiving, transforming your relationship with wealth at its very foundation. Let us now explore an ancient practice that has guided countless seekers before you on the path to conscious prosperity. Through this ritual of mindful intention, you will begin to experience wealth not as something to grasp, but as a force to direct with wisdom and grace. Chapter 30. The Eternal Prosperity Consciousness. In a hidden valley where ancient wisdom whispers through stone, Lucas discovered a peculiar artifact, a weathered tablet covered in mysterious inscriptions. At first glance, the markings appeared indecipherable, mere scratches on stone. Yet as he returned day after day, something extraordinary began to unfold. The inscriptions seemed to shift and change, revealing different messages depending on his state of consciousness. In moments of fear or lack, the stone displayed warnings and limitations. But when he approached with an open heart and elevated awareness, entirely new teachings emerged, profound truths about the eternal nature of abundance. Through this sacred revelation, you now encounter the deepest mystery of prosperity. Wealth exists not as external circumstance, but as an eternal state of being available to all who recognize their divine nature. This truth transcends the temporal nature of material fortune, revealing a consciousness of abundance that flows through generations. In your journey toward mastery of the money frequency, you have learned many practices and principles. Yet now you stand at the threshold of the highest teaching that true prosperity is not something you achieve, but rather your natural state of being when aligned with your eternal nature. In a distant land, Isabella had mastered every external aspect of wealth creation. Her investments flourished. Her ventures succeeded. Yet something felt incomplete. Through deep contemplation, she recognized that her focus on accumulating assets, while valuable, addressed only the surface of prosperity's true power. One moonlit night in profound meditation, Isabella experienced a spontaneous awakening to her eternal nature beyond time and form. In that expanded state of consciousness, she understood that true wealth transcends individual lifetimes. She saw how prosperity consciousness, once fully embodied, naturally flows forward through time, touching and transforming all who encounter its frequency. This truth reveals itself to you now. Your journey with wealth ultimately leads beyond the realm of doing and having. As you align with your eternal nature, you become a living transmission of prosperity, consciousness, creating a legacy that enriches not only your direct descendants, but all whose lives they touch. Through this elevated understanding, you transcend the temporal nature of material wealth, becoming instead a beacon of abundance that radiates through generations. Like a stone cast into still waters, your expanded consciousness creates ripples of prosperity that extend far beyond your immediate sphere, touching countless souls across the vast expanse of time. In this way, true wealth becomes not merely what you possess, but what you emanate, an eternal force of creation flowing through you into the infinite tapestry of existence. If you enjoyed this audiobook, I created a free ebook version for you. You can download it using the link in the pinned comment. Conclusion. As you complete this sacred journey through the ancient wisdom of financial frequency, recognize that you now stand at the threshold of a transformed relationship with abundance. You have been initiated into secrets that most will never discover, not because this wisdom is intentionally hidden, but because few are willing to undertake the inner transformation required to embody prosperity consciousness. The knowledge you now possess is not merely information, but a living transmission of energy that has been passed through generations of masters who understood the true nature of wealth. Remember that this ending is merely a beginning, your first steps into a life where prosperity flows not from external manipulation, but from internal resonance with the abundant nature of the universe itself. The frequency of money now recognizes your energetic signature and responds to your consciousness rather than merely your actions. As you move forward, maintain your daily attunement practices while continuously expanding your awareness of how this prosperity consciousness expresses through every dimension of your being. Your journey has not been toward wealth alone, but toward becoming a living embodiment of abundance, a beacon whose presence naturally elevates the prosperity of all you encounter. Carry this wisdom not as a possession to be guarded, but as a light to be shared, remembering always that true wealth multiplies when circulated with consciousness and compassion. The universe has entrusted you with this ancient knowledge. Now allow it to flow through you as naturally as breath itself. For you have become not merely a practitioner of prosperity principles, but prosperity itself in human form. If you enjoyed this exclusive audiobook, I handpicked this next book which will change your life.